H-Town, what's up? You know what time it is. It's time for the best 120 minutes of your day. The Chop Shop, the nation's #1 urban sports talk show, and also your midday sports happy hour. Yours truly, Robert Hatter, alongside Jim Hicks, coming to you live from Houston, Texas. But we're broadcasting all over the world via Facebook Live and YouTube Live. And it's Tuesday. And, oh, shoot, look at that. Jimmy on time today. Unbelievable. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. And as customary, I would like to shout out to our starting five today. Let's first five, starting five. These are the people who first sign up into the Chop Shop feed via Facebook or YouTube. And today we got D. Holcomb, we got Melvin Dews, we got Rod Wells, we got Paul Miranda. Hey, Paul Miranda, and we got Chris Charles. And the sixth man of the day is Alex Sesteros. Alex is in the building. What's up, Alex? Great day. We got great guests gonna be on today. Matter of fact, Jimmy is already in the green room. I'm trying to get him in right now. I think I click a button. There he is. Look how quick that is. Got him in already. Something is on. Oh yeah. Oh, come on, get the stuff off my mouth. What else we got? Hey, Jim Norris, Kevin Allen in the building. The Silver Fox. Hello, Sonya Billingsley. Hello, Jay Jackson, Daryl Anderson. The Panther Network, businessman. I know that's who else we got? Brandy. Hey, Kim. Kim, you was being naughty yesterday. What else we got? Paul Miranda. Yeah, Paul Miranda. We talked about Paul. He's in here. Let's see what else. Thaddeus Moody. I got something for you, Thaddeus Moody. Thaddeus Moody, I need you. Boy, I knew you popped up. I got something for you. But Thaddeus Moody. Let me see. Who else we got? What's up, Corey? I think, and Kevin Lewis. What's up? And Thad, Jimmy, what's up, man? Before I'm just let you chime in, but I got to talk to Thad about something, and maybe you can chime in on it too. What you got going on?
Oh man, just a good day. Hey, I'm a lot of stuff on tap today on the Chop Shop. You guys know I'm right here hitting on it early and on time. Got I mean, shoot, man. I know you got some stuff on your on the docket, but we want to. This is a different type of conversation on the second half in the second hour, and we're going to dive in. And remember, as promised to you guys last week, we're going to have conversations with two of the very, very instrumental people in the community in the state of Minnesota. They're both based in Minneapolis. But remember, I met during the trip last week. And this is going to be a very, very, very informative and powerful conversation. You guys make sure you have questions on tap. You get them, keep them loaded, and you guys can engage in the conversation as well. Of course, Jamil Jackson and head coach Larry McKenzie. Jamil is also a coach as well. So, but that'll be on the back nine. But Hatter, let me tell you something. No, you from Memphis. Mm-hmm. You don't never shy away from your fondness of your teams in Memphis. And all of a sudden now mm-hmm. It as of late in the past 72 hours, mm-hmm. boy, it seemed like Memphis basketball is rocking on all cylinders right now. I watched
and notice I haven't said anything about it. Look who bringing it up, but keep on.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it out the way because you.
I'm not gonna say anything about it.
You really was waiting on Chris Walker to come so you can let Chris Walker know. That's what you was really waiting on. So
Okay. All right.
I watched the Memphis and Wichita State game the other day. I watched a good portion of that, and without one of their star players, the Tigers beat the snot out of Wichita State. And that was a road game, have you? And then the Memphis Grizzlies, who have won 5 straight games.
I see why you're bringing it up. Now I'm seeing why you're bringing. Come on. Come on, Cletus. I see why you're bringing it up. Come on. Y'all watch this. Just watch this. Watch this.
Why I'm bringing it up?
Come on, Cletus. Jimmy.
I'm shining light on
no,
the
you're
Memphis
not.
Grizzlies.
No, you're not.
How you figure?
Who?
They won. They won 5 straight, right? They won 5 straight.
Okay.
And including last night, they beat Brooklyn.
Okay.
Beat Brooklyn.
Wait,
Mighty Brooklyn.
who plays for Brooklyn? Who plays for
Kevin
Brooklyn?
Durant?
That Jimmy. Yeah, hey.
Kevin Durant.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Blake Griffin.
They beat Blake Griffin. Okay. All right. Okay. I got you.
And them. Oh, okay. A beard.
Wow.
Oh, number 13 plays for Brooklyn. Oh, he did play last night. He was in uniform last night. He was on the court last night, and he was a recipient of Ja Morant.
Oh my God.
Continuing his spectacular play. Now has emerged himself into the conversation of MVP. Do you guys think
Jimmy, remember the beginning of the season? We asked who is going to be your surprise team this year. Okay? In the beginning of the season, I said Memphis. You said, oh, you're just saying that because that's Memphis. Thaddeus Moody mentioned Chicago. And boy, I got something to share with y'all about Chicago. Oh my goodness, I want to hear what. But shout out to those guys. Jimmy, in this basketball season, man, it's so up and down, especially Memphis. I mean, my college basketball team, Jimmy, I can't cheer as much for those wins like that because we come back and let Tulane one day beat us. But we didn't have 3 of our top players, but you still can't let Tulane beat you by 2 points. So, I mean, it's hard for me. It's just hard for me.
But Tulane followed that up with another big win in conference play.
I don't care. They wasn't supposed to beat us.
I understand that, but then guess what? Sometimes it's the game after the game.
Yeah.
Which your game after the game, Memphis, the Tigers, they went and mollywopped Wichita State. Right. But Tulane also proceeded to put a mollywhopping. I can't remember who their opponent.
I don't know who they play. You just surprised me. I didn't know.
No. You guys on the Boom Boom Room, you guys make sure you can share that or dig it up real quick.
Yeah.
Tulane pulled off another win. So what that means is that Tulane is no longer little brother in that conference. Okay. Tulane is a serious contender in the American Conference.
They didn't beat SMU. They didn't beat SMU.
No, I didn't say it's no.
Walter Yates put up there. Walter Yates been on that medicine up there wherever he is.
Yeah. It wasn't SMU. They beat a respectable opponent in that conference.
I'm gonna tell you who it is.
Who was it?
It beat Cincinnati.
There you go. I'm telling you, whoever it was, I'm like, whoa, Tulane. So now Tulane, once again, they are not to be plexed with. They for real.
Okay.
You follow? Okay. So your loss had to.
No, man, it was Jimmy. We had the game, man.
But now some of the sting. You understand? Them dudes ain't no joke no more.
I know, but I watched the game and I was so mad, Jimmy. I promise you, they make me want to hold some of them envelopes I used to send. Notice I say used to send. They make me want to hold some of them envelopes, Jimmy. They make you want to hold some of them handshakes. That you don't want. I ain't shaking your hand no more. They was pissing me clean off, man. That's why I ain't been talking about it. Yeah. But
I mean,
what is
so that was and also of course that's NBA. We're talking NBA news early on in Chop Shop, going around the horn. We'll talk some college. We'll talk some NFL shortly. Of course, they had Monday Night Football last night, and of course, you guys want to we hit on AB for an entire hour on yesterday, guys. I had somebody contact me yesterday. Hey, did y'all talk about AB? Yeah, go watch the Chop Shop. We talked about it for an hour. I don't, somebody asked me, one of the guys, what's your thoughts on it? Go watch the Chop Shop.
I'm tired.
I mean, we talked about that for an hour. And as I said before, I just still stand on my statement that as the days roll by, more and more facts will come out. You can best believe that. Of course, he was courtside of that Brooklyn Nets game last night versus Memphis, and you
You
know,
see
I
what
don't
Thad
know
Moody just said? Thad, I got
what's
you,
up.
man. Just slow down. Thad, I got you. But keep talking, Jimmy. I
Okay.
got you. I got you. But come on. Yeah, he want to talk
And
about them
you
Bulls.
know,
Them Bulls balling, Jimmy, by the way.
yeah, the Bulls are balling, and
Mhm.
we can just go straight on and talk to about continue NBA talk and talk about the Chicago Bulls. Of course, DeMar DeRozan back-to-back game-winning three-pointers in recent games. First player in history to accomplish that feat. It's so much history that man we've seen in the past 10 years or so in the NBA to just remarkable.
Jimmy,
I mean,
I got
seriously,
those two
every
shots. Can I play those two shots for Thaddeus Moody?
let them see it.
Let me play those two. First, it was New Year's Eve, right? I think New Year's Eve first. I think.
DeRozan to win it. Go! DeMar DeRozan delivers.
See, Thaddeus Moody, if you just hold on, I got you, baby. Hold up, I got the second one. Then the next night, Jimmy, the next night, this what happened. Hold on.
DeRozan, no, Kobe White to DeRozan. 2 seconds in the corner for three, and the win again. He does it. Games. Holy cow.
Now you can continue, Jimmy, because I got a little something to talk about
Hey.
that. Uh-huh.
Hey man,
Uh-huh.
did you realize that in both of those games, little Ayo was on the court? Nobody drafted this guy through the first round and most of the second round. And Chicago got him, stole him that late, stole him.
All right.
And I'm just saying, and he's finishing games in the NBA as a true rookie.
Coach, just because they don't draft you don't mean you can't play.
No. Nobody else. That's the whole key.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody drafts
else wanted him.
Yeah, Chicago didn't draft him either. They
But
got him as a free agent.
Chicago was playing a little poker with that.
Yeah.
They were saying, and like a lot of teams play a little poker.
Dude.
We'll get the ones we know on the board, and they had a chance. They didn't want this guy, so they really don't want him. We got him on that second round. He's going to slide. He's going to fall. And that's what he did. And he's been balling. I mean, hell, that don't happen too often for a rookie out the gate that stays at home, that get drafted by their home team out the gate. That don't happen too often, where you're either starting or finishing games as a true rookie in the NBA.
And Thad Moody, this for you. I got a bone to pick, okay? A lot of people didn't respect who DeMar DeRozan was, Jimmy. And I got a bone to pick. Jimmy, you can add in at any time, but this for Thad Moody. He did something the other night that, like Jimmy said, that no other player has done. Jimmy, it has happened before in 1985, but Larry Bird didn't do it in consecutive nights. He did it one, then had a break, and then another night. That's his MVP year. He didn't do it in consecutive nights, back to backs. But he did it in 1985. Somebody go look at it. But on New Year's Eve, this guy dropped a bucket on the Indiana Pacers. Then he dropped a bucket on the Wizards with two guys hanging on him in the corner. I don't even know how he got the shot off. I really don't know how. I just don't know how he got it off. And he did it. Y'all got it. He did it, y'all, on 2 3-point shots. The reason I'm bringing this up, y'all, because some people around the in NFL who write and some scouts, they had it in for this kid, which was some that he was really not fond of. He don't like to take threes, and and when he makes them with confidence, Jimmy. But he's a mid-range guy, right? He leads the NBA in mid-range makes. So he's had a fantastic year. I'm so excited about this young man, Thaddeus Moody. So if you hold on, I had this coming for you. He has not given in to the system. And what I mean, Jimmy, he has fought it, and he's not just him, there's a few other guys as well, but he topped the list. People all over has tried to find a way to take him down a step, Jimmy. I've been listening to the commentator. I throw those analytic robots. I put it like that. I'm going to throw it out there. I'm just going to say it. The analytic robots, they can't stand him. Jimmy. They said he all right, but all he can do he shoot 3 twos because that's all he's capable of doing. That's why he. But Jimmy, then why did for a number of years why did they criticize him because what to make them look good? Because they did, Jimmy. You know they criticized him. This guy was playing up. Think about this, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, y'all help me. Y'all help me out. Let me help me out. 9 straight years, Jim Hicks, he averaged more than 20 points a game. 9 straight years. Ain't nobody on this Facebook feed can tell me too many people done did that. I want to ask y'all a question, everybody. They said the 3 is more, more than the 2. Yes, it is. But Jimmy, not in confidence. That is what they don't understand. Not in confidence. 2 twos, Jimmy, gives you more confidence than making 1 3. He said he just paced Juanita's house. That ain't Juanita's house. That was Michael's house. It wasn't Juanita's house. Juanita didn't get that house. Juanita didn't get that house. But think about this, Jimmy. The dude is averaging over 20 points a game for 9 straight years. But this what got me, Jimmy. This what got me when I looked this up. You gonna go pay, what his name, Davis Bertrand, $80 million because he can hit a 3. You go pay Duncan Robinson $80 million because he can hit a 3. And those 2 players are ranked, Jimmy, on that ESPN a couple years ago, I think 2020, they had them guys ranked higher than him on the ESPN rankings. DeMar was ranked 82, Jimmy. Bertrand was 61. And Duncan Robinson was ranked higher than that. So you telling us the guys, if you can make a 3, that's it? Despite not averaging. Think about this, y'all. Somebody told me the other day, you can put those 2 guys I just named in a room by themselves and they ain't going to average 20 points a season. Jimmy, y'all got to explain to me, why are they valuing District? They devaluing this guy. And all he ever did is won, Jimmy. All he ever did is won. Let me explain that to you. Let me explain something to y'all. 2013, Jimmy, Toronto, 48 games and went to the playoffs. 2014-15, 49 wins, went to the playoffs. Jimmy, 2015-16, 56 games in Toronto, playoffs. The next year, 51 games in the playoffs. Then hold on. 2017, 17-18, 59 games, the playoff. And Jimmy, he was going in the 20s. He was averaging 20. He goes to San Antonio the first year. They make the playoffs. Then they struggle for 2 years. Why did they struggle, Jimmy? Marcus Aldridge didn't play but 58 games 1 year. 21 games. This dude's a winner. And I wanted to just share that with y'all. I understand the 3-point shot. But this guy been consistently averaging 20 points a game. And you put these 3-point specialists in front of him? What the hell's wrong with? I think they owe that boy an apology, man. I think they owe him an apology, Jimmy. I'm just sorry. Thaddeus Moody, I think they owe him an apology. Jimmy?
I mean, he's one thing about it, he's been consistently balling, just that he didn't have I guess I would say the mainstream exposure or the marketing power behind him as some of his former teammates or in some of his former predecessors, meaning that everywhere he went, he had shoes to fill. And he was always in comparison with that guy who was there right before you left. And that's one of the things, that probably DeMar had on his back. And so this is the prime opportunity being with the Bulls, because, that was no mega star, superstar that was there before you got there. Yeah, sure, Levine has been there and he's been doing work, before you got there. He just needed some help. And
So,
and even then,
so
people
you saying
still wasn't,
that's why some of the media, Jimmy, they wasn't just overlooking him, Jimmy. They was talking negative about him. I don't
well,
mind them
because
overlooking
you're
and not giving him no
that's what I'm
credit.
saying. The negative would come when they're trying to compare him to, just say, the most recent stop in Toronto. You're comparing him with Kawhi, because you're trying to justify that, that Toronto is not going to get it done. Toronto, and even still, remember, Toronto they were still winning without Kawhi. They still was didn't they have one of the best
Yeah,
records
they had a nice, yeah. But
without him? And so you could just tell if you're paying attention to some of the people, some of the slight. Remember, DeMar had some
Jimmy,
of
I
that.
think it's Jimmy. I'm talking about the 3-point. Jimmy, he's a 2-point shooter, and I think everybody has went toward the 3-point analytic role, so they got to damage him. I mean, I see what you talking about. I think they got to. This dude is killing them from the 2-point range. We can't let this down us, Jimmy. This man is like the old Motorola phone. The phone we used to have to put up against their ear. It still make a call, but Jimmy, we want the iPhone so we can put the iBuds in there. You follow me? These new people want the iBud. So I understand what you're saying, but I think. Hey, Jimmy, I just want ESPN to eat crow and just admit they made a mistake. Hold on, Jimmy, I got some more. Jimmy, they had Josh Richardson, Contavious Caldwell-Pope, Duncan Robinson, as I mentioned, PJ Tucker, OG Anunoby, and ranked higher than him. TJ Warren ranked, Davis Davis, Bertrand, Robert Covington, Tobias Harris, Kristen Woods, Spencer Dinwiddie, Kemba Walker, hold up, Victor Oladipo, Fred VanVleet, Marcus Smart, CJ McCallum. Jimmy, I love CJ McCallum. I love Marcus Smart. But would Portland today, I'm talking about right now, trade CJ today for DeMar DeRozan? Yes.
Yeah, but but understand that part right there. When you mentioned there's a couple of those players that you named that were definitely, they've played and careers in the range. Now the range is good. You play the range game with it, because we can always cherry pick and find a guy that was ranked above, beyond. Kemba Walker has a great career. He is in that range. He's proven that he's in that range. CJ McCollum, he's in that range. So we can put them to the side and put an asterisk by them. Now the rest of those guys are a lot of those, a few of those are heavy trash. Now we understand.
Jimmy, they ain't got to be heavy trash. I ain't trying to talk about them. I'm really trying to uplift this young man who these people been, because I know some of them been dropping him, Jimmy, because they would tell me how to. Now you going to jump on the bandwagon. But guess what, y'all? I told y'all the man that averaged 20 points for 9 years. How in the hell is that a bandwagon? Jimmy, what I thought about him, this is what I thought about him. I'm going to give y'all this analogy and then we can be finished. Jimmy, he's an outdated old computer. You know, the old computer over there that's, you got these new computers like I got in front of me. Old computers is in the corner. He's one of those, like I said, one of those old Motorola phones. But Jimmy, think about this. They told me, this what got me. When they gave him too much money to go to Chicago. This what they told me, Jimmy. Yeah, he gave him too much money to go to Chicago. He gonna mess up Zach LaVine. You got me? Yeah, Jimmy. Jimmy, listen to me. Jimmy, these your numbers. These some numbers for you. He averaged 27 points a game this year. 50% from the field, 37 from 3, which he don't take but 2 a game anyway. Okay? Shoots 87% from the free throw line. He gets to hold up, Jimmy. He gets to the line 8 times a game. You know why he get to the line 8 times a game, Jimmy? Because he's not jacking up threes. 5 rebounds and 5 assists a game. Then ESPN polled the GMs, Jimmy. They said that was the worst free agent signing of last year. Jimmy, it's out, man. Jimmy, I'd like to die. They said that it's not the.
Now, the next time, go one step deeper. Remember now on the chop shop,
Okay.
we like to get a name of that person. That way, if some people out there keeping score and keeping tabs, because that ESPN is the brand. But next time try to get
They
that
didn't
name.
tell the name. They didn't tell the name of the GM.
Because I'm talking about the article or whoever wrote it on ESPN. That means he co-signed. That means he put it out there. So that means now we just keep for tabs the way people can always go back and say, "Oh, okay, you were the guy."
I have that information. Keep talking.
You know what I'm saying? Get that name of that person. We want to know. We want to know where he's standing at.
But Jimmy, this is what the GMs was. They said the GMs was saying. The GM said he's talented, but that contract, I just don't like the contract they gave him. He could have an issue with Zach LaVine. Let me give you Zach LaVine's numbers. Okay, 27 points a game. That's what he averaged last year. 50% from the field. This year, 50% from the field, the same as last year. 42 from three, exactly what he had from last year. 85% from the free throw line, exactly what Zach LaVine had left. The difference, Jimmy, the Bulls last year didn't win but 31 games. And this year, they've already won 24. They 24-10 already. All I'm telling them, apologize to that dude, man. That's all. That's all. And guess what, Jimmy? DeMar went public and said he was shocked and he was insulted that you had him at 82. So these guys do look at these rankings. You know how we talk about, hey, don't nobody worry about rankings? DeMar said he was insulted and shocked. But shout out to DeMar DeRozan. Thaddeus Moody, I gave you your fix for the day. What else we got, Jim? What else we got?
I mean, otherwise, of course, Chicago had the best record in the East right now.
Right.
25-10. Brooklyn Nets, by defeating them, the Brooklyn falls back into a tie with the Milwaukee Bucks, who has been grooving along. And that, the defending champs, they're 25-14. And it's going to be hard, very hard, to beat them 4 out of 7 times this season for anybody within a 1 week and a half, 2 week span. I remember how you brought up the conversation back at the very beginning of the season. We were saying who would be the surprise teams. You mentioned the Memphis team, and if I'm not mistaken, I mentioned to you Chicago Bulls would be my surprise team because of Lonzo Ball and those guys, get those young legs getting together, and they will be playing they have so many guys with so much to prove and so many incentives to go all out every night. And that's what you see happen. Then you got young Kobe White, who's just been dynamic. People laughed at him.
I ain't been hearing from him much. What he been doing?
He's been balling. Look up the stats for the last few months.
I promise you, I haven't heard because Alonzo. They said that's this boy Alonzo and one more person. They creates the defensive. I'm glad you just looked at it. I didn't know what Kobe. I'm glad you said something because I haven't seen Kobe White. Man,
he's averaging almost 11 points a game.
Okay.
He's only playing 24 minutes a game.
Okay. Well, that's good.
So 11, almost 11 points a game, like 10 point something. Mm-hmm. And he's averaging about 2.5 assists.
So what Ayo? So what is Ayo? They trade.
Understand what Ayo. Ayo, remember at the beginning of the season, he's played in pretty much every game they've played. But at the same time, and he even started a couple of games. But Ayo is not. He's averaging like 6 points a game. It's not his presence on the floor and his energy, his ability. They use him as to defend and to make that setup play that he's capable of making when he was at Illinois and get guys because he have enough guys that want to shoot the ball. You got a facility.
Somebody go wake up Troy Callahan. He talking about they traded Kobe for Barnes. What are you talking about, man? Kobe White is still on the team. Troy Callahan, this the chop shop now. This ain't, you might be on another show right now, but this the chop shop. So wake up a little bit. But, okay, but he said they had 20 the other day. I didn't know that. Thank you, Jimmy, for bringing it up. I'm looking at Kobe. Kobe is balling. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Wow.
Yeah. He
Oh.
cut that hair off, man. He cut that hair off. Now you good.
Oh, he
man.
cut
You
the
good.
hair off. Okay, good. Because I ain't like that hair.
Yeah.
I ain't like
Of
that
course
hair.
we also we going to shift over. We are right at the half past the hour. And don't forget, coming up at the top of the hour, we got a powerful conversation with one of the pillars of the entire state of Minnesota, a couple of pillars of Minnesota. We got Jamil Jackson and, of course, head coach Larry McKenzie. He's a coach at Minneapolis North High School who hosted and put together that George Floyd Classic last week. And this is going to be great because when you hear him talk, understand, he's of Minnesota. He's he's the Greg Wise of Minnesota. He's the Ronnie Courtney of Minnesota. He's so this is what you're going to get graced with on this afternoon. So don't forget, make sure you don't go anywhere on that. This is also the perfect time to share the show.
Absolutely.
If you haven't done so, let's get a share in right now. Let's share the show to your pages, to your timelines, to a couple of your groups, your basketball groups or your sports groups, or your social conscious groups, because they definitely would need some of this conversation that's coming up at the top of the hour. Now, we got NCAA basketball last night, and we had Kevin Allen came and joined us. The Silver Fox was on there with us yesterday on the Chop Shop, and he wanted us to remind everybody about the TSU Open Conference play at Southern. Prairie View was scheduled to open at Grambling. They are traveling partners.
Right.
When TSU and Prairie View will both go on the road, and that's how the SWAC operates. Two schools are paired up, and they would travel to two different cities, and they will swap opponents, let's say on a Saturday or a Monday or whatnot. In this case, a Monday and a Wednesday. Well,
Jimmy, Jimmy, I'm sorry. I thought that was just unique in the SWAC, but it also in the Ivy League. Because Cornell and Columbia are travel partners.
Harvard, they don't play on weekends. That's the only difference.
They play on. They only play on weekends. You're right, but keep going.
I mean, they no weekdays. I said
they don't play on weekdays.
They only play on weekends.
Right.
Yeah. Now, Prairie View had to forfeit their game. This is basketball, guys, against Grambling last night. And the SWAC rules are one of the few conferences, because a lot of conferences has modified their rules. Charles McClellan has not done so for the SWAC. So as a result of COVID protocols and safety precautions, if you forfeit a game, if you're not able to field a team for a game, then it is a forfeit in the SWAC as it stands right now. Like remember University of Houston in the American Conference, they were facing that against Cincinnati. That would have been a hell of a win for Cincinnati, because at the same time they turned around and lost to Tulane, as we just mentioned earlier. Thanks you guys for that intel. But now in the SWAC, that loss for Prairie View, combined with Southern beating Texas Southern last night.
Wait a minute, Southern beat Texas Southern men's basketball?
63-50, if I'm not mistaken. That was the final score. They did that, man.
Southern must have some grown men on their team too.
Well, no, you know what? Southern always plays TSU tough. Sean Woods, he's always
Sean the coach. Yeah, okay.
Sean always is. For real. And they have, guess what? They have a guy in the starting lineup that is very familiar with the starting point guard at TSU, but he didn't start last night. I don't know, something else must have happened. Came off the bench. That's PJ Bird, right? It starts for Southern. Remember him? Bush High School.
Yeah, and PJ Henry.
And then you have PJ Henry from Shadow
PJs.
Creek. Yeah, the two PJs. And PJ Haggerty came on the short end of the stick, came off the bench. PJ Henry, he got it in last night in regard to leading his team to that win. A really good win for Southern.
PJ Bird, you mean?
Now to a TSU, and I looked at the box score because I had the older brother Ford, who lives in Atlanta now, the you know
Yeah,
the
Kefar.
high school basketball coach and
Yeah.
owner of that apparel shop. I can't think of the name.
ALC.
Yeah, I didn't want to say the wrong name of it. I
Uh-huh.
couldn't think of the name. You guys be watching. He went to social media and tagged me this morning, Alan, and
He's supposed to.
asked me to take that L back with you to Houston for the.
He-
And I made me go and look up the box score, and the first thing that glares out at me was 25 turnovers from Texas Southern. First 25 turnovers. Then I went over to the. See, that's what I do first.
That'll get you
On,
beat.
on the stat sheets. If you want to just understand, like trying to make understanding, make it like how to say, make it make sense. I look at the field goals made and missed by TSU. They were 19 for 49, right? Then I look at the field goals made and missed for Southern. They were 22 for 50. Well, that was pretty much in the same range. That's compatible. That's 44% and 39%. That's right there. So that wasn't why TSU lost the game. Now, if you lost about 1 point, 2 points, yeah, you lost about double digits. So I looked at the next stat. I looked and say, well, did TSU jack up a crazy amount of threes? Nope. They shot 18 three-pointers. They made 5 of them. Southern shot 14 threes, made 5 of them. So it wasn't a loss there. Then I look at the free throws. TSU missed 10 of 17 free throw attempts. They
10
missed
of
10 of
17.
17.
That'll get you beat. That'll
That
get you beat.
that would get you. That's an ingredient in that in an L gumbo. You want to create and make and brew up a loss. That's a main ingredient in a lost pot of gumbo. And as compared to Southern, 14 for 17. Southern only missed 3. Then I went over to the rebounding. The rebounding. That's where it really didn't make sense to me at first. TSU out rebounded Southern 40-24. You out rebounded them 40-24. And on the offensive glass, guys, it was 16-3 on the offensive glass. Do you understand what that game looked like as far as missing shots?
You know what that's telling me? I got the rebound, right? And turned the ball back over.
And gave that thing clean away.
I got the rebound and turned that thing back over. I got the rebound and turned it. That's what it looked like to me, Jimmy.
Well, obviously, you know why? Because you didn't have more shot attempts. See, the offensive glass rebounds normally means it comes with a tip back, comes with a putback, comes with getting it reset and getting another opportunity in that possession. That's what that means. Southern still had more field goal attempts than TSU. Them 25 turnovers. That's what it goes now. It comes down to that.
Let me see who made all them damn turnovers, Jim.
Is it.
One guy made 5, 2 guys made 4. Yeah, that'll get you beat, young fellas. And can't hit free throw. That'll get you beat.
That'll definitely get you beat. And of course, shout out Southern, like I say, big win for them. Huge win for them. Especially they defended their home turf. Now they do have to come to Houston and play both Prairie View and TSU in a swing. A
hell of a swing. But Jimmy, speaking of Prairie View, Jimmy, my friend, one of the greatest men in the world, Bubba McDowell is the coach. Jimmy was announced the head coach today.
At PV?
At PV. Jimmy, that was a great hire, great man, let me tell y'all, one of the coolest dudes you're ever gonna meet in your life. Guess what, Jimmy? TSU, I like y'all. But if what his name? Dion, I like y'all, but I'm gonna help Bubba.
I'm gonna put this in my trunk. So I'm gonna give it to you so you can give it to Bubba. You're gonna need this for Labor Day Classic when TSU open up that can of whoopers. I'm gonna get you.
I can't wait to call him when I get off the show.
He needs the bubble, and we got something. We just need. That's all Coach McKenzie needed. Well, I mean, Coach McKinney. That's all Coach McKinney needed.
Yeah, coach at TSU. Dude, Jimmy, that made my day, man. I've been trying to talk about it, but we ain't had a chance to say nothing about it. When you mentioned Prairie View, I said I had to pause right there. Now you can get back to your basketball. I had to. You know what? Kevin Jones said it. That I wasn't gonna say it, but I'm gonna say it now. You right. About damn time. Now, but keep going. About time. The right man got the job. Hey, free Bubba. Bubba, anything you need, I got you, baby. That's a good dude, that Jim. That's a good dude. Yeah.
And so, yeah, of course, that was in HBCU news and SWAC play. A lot of, and of course, only other game I think last night it was one other. I think Alabama, A&M, and Arkansas Pine Bluff. No, I'm sorry, Bethune-Cookman beat Florida A&M. They're in the SWAC now. Those two schools are in the SWAC. Bethune-Cookman opened up with the win, 66-59 over Florida A&M, and Alabama A&M beats Pine Bluff 70-50 in that win. Of course, what we have? Speaking of college,
who?
We got a good topic I want to chime in, want to slide into in a second,
What you
because
got?
somebody mentioned something on Twitter. But don't forget Doug Jones every Tuesday in the VIP news on rcssports.com. That's rcssports.com. Doug Jones, we publish a list of freshmen that are on Division I rosters who are from the greater Houston area. So once again, guys that played and started high schools in and around Houston that are at the Division I level right now. We post the list of them and how they're doing at their respective colleges. We provide the 5 key statistical categories: games, how many games they played, how many minutes they averaged per game, points, rebounds, and I think assists are included in that. And it's 33 people on that list. 33. And out of the 33, there are 9 who are averaging double-digit minutes per game. And I know that everybody, when you go to colleges nowadays, mostly everybody, understand, it's not going to be the same for everybody. But then some people are expecting and really thinking that they are going to walk in there and start. Though this is where the message in that list can serve the best benefit to, for people that have subscribed to that theory that their son, their baby, their kid is going to go wherever he goes. They're gonna put the ball in his hand just because the college coach or the recruiting coach told you that they're going to put the ball in your hand. Yeah, they're going to put the ball in your hand. He didn't tell your ass it would be the layup line. That's what he didn't tell you it would be with the scout team at practice. And so this is the thing that we want to get to. And so on the social media, Tune, there was a conversation that was going on that was it was pertaining to somebody mentioned in on Twitter. Name is Paul Williams, Coach P. Will,
I saw
too. And the topic was about, he's mentioned about a pro leaving the bench and not wanting to be coach. College kids quitting and jumping in the portal. High school kids jumping from high school to high school. We are raising our youth to quit instead of fight. I'm quoting Coach Paul Williams. I blame the selfish grown-ups. That's it. And boy, that started a trend of people sharing their opinions. And eventually, Buffington out of Dallas says this thread lets me know we are in real trouble moving forward. And then Courtney Dion says basketball is in a dark place. And then Doug Jones chimed in, a black hole type dark place. And it just went on for that. And then so finally we had one of the ladies. And this is why, I tell, here's the thing. When basketball is a real slippery slope, if ever, and there's a grown man then you're talking basketball, not to playing Title IX, but with a female that's a parent and an active parent in the parenting of a basketball player. And so therefore I say I bring it to the platform for which I get paid to talk on, not to talk for, not that comes as name for free. So now I bring it to here, and so Miss Dora LeBlanc says, but there's a response to this. But the elders need to ask themselves, what did they do to contribute to this behavior? Now, the elders are quoted in quotations. So that's not meaning the elders, the parents. She meaning the elders of others. She says, folks always say, Al, listen to this. Folks always say, be on the right side of politics. But what happens when politics feel like oppression, feels demonic? It starts affecting and changing their performance. Let's talk about all of it.
I'm missing something.
So, this and I just say, well, I bring this topic and I respond to that on the chat.
I'm missing
And-
something. So, Jimmy, all of this started from this tweet. Hold your
All this
horses.
started from this tweet.
Okay. Okay, let me read the tweet again, Jimmy.
We had one more sentence that she said.
Okay.
She says that because my thing was, you know, I mentioned you got pink and blue, right? You got deltas, and green.
Mm-hmm.
You got kappas and Q.
Mm-hmm.
You can choose coins or green. That's a little rhyme if you want to make it. You can get your money, but there's always an option for everyone. So then her response was absolutely, but kids and parents should not be penalized for choosing what path is right for them. Let me say it again. Kids and parents should not be penalized for choosing the path which is right for them.
Me personally, you can talk to them people that I got to go back and read the tweet again. Because Jimmy, you read it to me. And I'm going to read it again because sometimes faith comes by hearing and hearing the word. We got to hear it more than one. Jimmy, I'm going to do it to you quick. You said, pro leaving the bench and not want to be coached. College kids quitting and jumping into the portal.
Yeah.
High school kids jumping from high school to high school. We are raising our youth to quit instead of fight. I blame the selfish grown-ups. So, this tweet brought out all of this mess you talking about?
That's just a portion. It's a whole
Jimmy, I got the thread. I remember you said, watch the thread. Jimmy, the people in the thread they had their own conversation. They weren't looking. Notice what I said. Let me go back to the originator, the guy who started the tweet. It seemed like when I looked at the thread, it seemed like other people came in with excuse me, Lord. They came in with their agendas, what they wanted to say, Jimmy. So that's what I saw in that thread. Because when you put it out there, I went and read the thread. I said, these people in this thread, did they listen to the original tweet? But keep going, Jimmy.
It then went to a whole nother place. It seemed like it. My thing is this, and the main thing is that last thing: players and parents, they should not be penalized for choosing what path is right for them. Okay, first and foremost, and this is a teachable conversation. This is a very, very
help me with this one. Help me.
Everybody that makes an initial decision initially feels that it is the right decision and the right place for them. Everybody that when you first make that decision, think about when people go to new schools or they pick a college or they make a decision. Everybody that makes that decision feels that's the right choice. This is the place for me. After long consideration and talking over with my family, this is what I want to do. And it just feels right. It's the right thing. Well, everybody feels that way. Then what happens is that will be people. Understand. Later, how do you know if it's not the right decision? That's over a due time. And it's not the same amount of time allotted to everybody. In due time, it's going to, you would know. Think about it like this. We look back at a young man from just class of 2018, graduated high school. We are in 2022 now. His name was Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes went to Kansas. Quentin Grimes went to Kansas, and as a result of his performance on the court, he received death threats from a lot of the Kansas fanatics. He received numerous messages and DMs of the negative plight. Well, Quentin Grimes ended up transferring. And when he went to University of Houston, at first it was turbulence because you have to deprogram and reprogram. And that's what Coach Sampson was doing at U of H. Quentin Grimes actually was benched at University of Houston for a few games and lost his role to a guy that ended up eventually going to the NBA. Two guys ended up going in the draft and ended the season, the following NBA season, on rosters. Quentin Grimes came back the following year. He's the co-player of the year in the conference. He ends up being the first University of Houston player to get drafted in years. And now he's performed his way into the rotation for the New York Knicks. So that means now Quentin Grimes, when people that were laughing at Kansas, how's that working out for them now? So that means it's no clock to the right decision. The thing is, when the term the right side of politics, when that was used, as far as I know, I'm the only person in the city that used that.
So they were talking about you. Come on, keep on going. So shoot, they was talking about you. Come on.
So the hit dog is about to holler.
Holler.
In regards to that conversation, that topic. I'm the one that says right side of politics frequently and often in the basketball community. You be on the right side of politics. Now, the right side of politics don't mean it's only one side. It's not a dictatorship. My thing is, that goes in the one statement that supplements that is the fact that you have, and I say it all the time as well, choices and consequences. Choices and consequences. We all make choices, but there are often consequences to those choices. And when people hold you accountable to the consequence that you are facing as a result of your choice, that's what people don't normally welcome. Nobody, that's the person that don't. You listen, if you want the shine, you want the glamour, you want the exposure, then you can't shy away from the critiqueness or people holding you accountable. That's all. There are a lot of people out there that's held accountable. There's a lot of people out there in basketball that you don't have to understand. If you don't go to play for this sneaker team, then you probably won't make it to the McDonald's All-American game. Well, guess what? That's the statistics show that the odds are greatly stacked against you. If you don't play for a sneaker team, you probably won't make the McDonald's game. It's not impossible. There have been players that did it before, but they are in the small percentile. So that's something when people of the sneaker representatives in the grassroots scene, when they're soliciting your kids and they're using that as well, look, man, all the college coaches going to be there. That don't mean college coaches won't see your kid play at other events. It just means that if he's able to play for one of those sneaker teams, then the chances are more college coaches will be able to see him. That's a fact. Now, back to this in regards to events. There are certain events out there that if you play in, then here's the thing. That person that runs that event, especially on the latter years, people don't remember what they ate for breakfast, only what they ate for dinner. When those latter events that your son plays in, when you make that decision to go to certain events, then that stuff goes on their shoulders. That event operator, especially your son, if he's a risk prospect, he's the one that has the capability and you should be blaming on or leaning on, because when they recruited your team to go to that event, they said, we're going to get exposure coming here. You don't need to play over there. Come over here. We're going to get you exposure. The coach is going to be there. Well, why don't that guy go the extra mile? See, that's about, so that means you thought you were on, you made a choice. And during making that choice, you felt you were on the right side of politics. And this is not aimed at no one person. I'm talking about teams, and people make these decisions all the time. So that means when you make some of these deals to go to some of these tournaments, I think coaches and our parents, ask them, are they going to go the extra mile? And what would that extra mile consist of in helping the recruitment of your players? Now, mind you, if little Johnny go up there and wet the bed and lay an egg, then guess what? You see it with your own eyes. Don't expect that guy to wave a magic wand. But if he goes the rest of the way and he's still performing, then that person that's running that event, me included, if you come back and remind event operators, yo, dude putting in work now. He didn't, we take that. He didn't do well at this event, but thank you. We supported you. Now we need you to support us. And that's what's not happening. Then what happens is you want the person to support you in the promotion and the marketing of your players when you basically shit on them and didn't want to play in their events. You didn't think they were good enough then. You made a choice. And sometimes that was a consequence. And it's not a person, and I'm going to tell you honestly from me, it's not a situation where it's all the time. I'm sure I can speak for the masses. It's not like guys that doing events is going to bed saying, I'm going to suppress your kid. Guys, I can say most people are consciously woke to the fact that I'm going to help the ones that are helping me when it come time for them to, in time of need. If they seek help or assistance, I'm going to help. So that means while you helping the ones that supported you, you're not thinking about the ones who didn't. That's the thing that I want to get out of. That's my message in that. And so hopefully that can stick with some people so you guys can understand. You can understand that it's not all the time. It ain't about people not like. It's like, guess what? We all gonna make wrong decisions. We all gonna choose a turn. Have you ever remember that was a time before Waze app? The Waze app came around. That was a time before Google Maps. That was a time when we had to use our street sense on whether we should turn right or left at an intersection. That was a time when we can just use our street sense and see everybody pumping their brakes and a bunch of lights up in front of us. We say, oh, let me get off the freeway right now. It's some traffic up there. Must be a wreck. That was where's that? Is that gone now? We got to use that. That is inside of all of us. We all have the ability to be able to use a little street sense and a little common sense and mix them together with our educational component. And that way we can make a more profound and concise decisions. That's what I'm saying. And at the end of the day, guess what? The better you are, then people are going to critique you if you're doing well. People ain't studying about the guy that came in last. They not critiquing you. They gonna talk, they gonna mention it one time and leave it alone. Think about it. Ain't nobody talking about the Detroit Pistons on the Chop Shop right now. They had number one pick in the draft, and they still got the worst damn record in the NBA.
Jimmy, I'm glad Jimmy, that need to be said. I'm glad but I'm still sitting here saying, I read this man tweet while you were talking. And I'm sitting here looking at these comments, Jimmy. In the comments, y'all help me, because I know our guest's about to come on shortly.
Yeah.
Why y'all go to other people's tweets and not, hold up, check this out. Y'all go to other people's tweets. This man must have a great reason to talk about whatever he talking about.
Well, he talked about 3 levels. He talked about pros, college,
and guess
high
what?
school.
But when I go look, you asked me to read the thread. I wish you hadn't did that. Because when I read the thread, most of the stuff in the thread ain't got nothing to do with what he said in the tweet.
Most of it ain't got nothing to do with what he said in the tweet.
I said, what the hell? That's like Jimmy, that's when I get pissed. When somebody come, we talking about something on this show, then somebody just gonna come and talk about something else. Homeboy, we talk about this subject, not the subject that you just woke up out the bed and brushed your teeth and typed on here. That's just disrespectful to man. We got to be more respectful of people's. That's that man's intellectual property, Jimmy. He somehow he felt he saw these pros leaving these benches. Let me help him out. Let me decipher that to them. Now, Jimmy, because evidently these people didn't get it. Pros leaving the bench. I guess he was talking about AB and then the guys leaving the gym, you know, at halftime. You know the guy. What's the guy? Kevin Porter Jr. Not wanting to be coach. Okay. College kids quitting and jumping in the portal. They do that all day. Yes, they do that. That's true. High school kids jumping from high school to high school. They doing that. That's true. We're raising our youth to quit instead of fight. And I blame the selfish grown-ups. And it seemed like there's a whole lot of selfish grown-ups who was coming to this man because they wasn't paying attention. They got offended. Jimmy, the hit dogs got to holler. The hit dog, because guess what? Tell me what we are raising our youth to quit instead of fight. I agree with that. What you say, Jimmy? Last year, certain kids don't, as much as they want to play in college, and you was hearing the rumors, oh, he gonna, what LJ gonna do? He gonna stay and fight. LJ Cryer's a fighter. Jimmy, you say you was getting, see, they didn't say that bullshit. They didn't say that crap to me. All them, they didn't say, they ain't call me with none of that. He gonna stay there and fight. The hell I'm gonna run somewhere else for. And that's all this man was saying. We're not teaching our kids to stay and fight. Jimmy, I guess it'll be on shortly. He just text me. He about to be on shortly. But man, and Jimmy, that's what I got out of it. Jimmy, I wish you hadn't told me to read the thread. I guess that's why you knew if I read that thread, I was gonna say, what the hell is these people talking about? Because it ain't had nothing to do with this man. Parents. I'm sorry.
And people out there know that I'm one of those guys that, like I said, I wanted to make sure I stress something that I said just a while ago. I'm not, and I've used this in rankings before, and I used the analogy in rankings so I won't have to repeat myself in the same verbiage. If your kid, and this is just how it goes. If your kid is ranked number 10 and he decides to basically, whoever decides, and the kid is not present at some of our Ruck on Wood, his team is not coming to none of our events lately over a period of time, and let's say number 11, number 12, number 13 does, and their team is playing, and they're playing well. That's another thing. Not just showing up. You got to play.
Yeah.
And they're playing well. And they were there. You was not. When it's time to do rankings, when that new list comes out, number 10 is probably going to fall to number 13, at least. Why? Because number 11, 12, and 13 is going to be rewarded. So when the list to you is going to look like you dropped my kid because he didn't want to come because he had something to do. He didn't come to your stuff. No, I rewarded those other guys. Now you can look at it, the glass is being half empty if you deem to do, if you care to do so. But if it's 6 ounces of water in a 12-ounce bottle, I'm deeming it half full for those other 3 guys.
Jimmy, I guess here, Jimmy,
Yes,
You
yes,
done
man.
popped
It's that
in.
time,
But that
man.
was a good one, man. That was a good one. I mean, and maybe he might be able to shed some light on it, man. It's just, I'll give you the, you the honor to introduce our guest. Uh,
Yeah, man.
he in the
We gonna
dressing room right now.
Yeah, we got them addressing, of course, guys, at that time of day, and we're gonna ask you guys. We can go to a quick break real quick. That way,
Yeah.
you guys can fresh up. You can share your shows. We go to a quick commercial break. We come back on the Chop Shop. We're gonna have. I'm talking about. I mentioned the pioneer in Minnesota. This is guys here, and this is Jamil Jackson, and he has a conversation. I'm sorry that you guys definitely want to hear and possibly engage with. You guys stay right there on the Chop Shop. Share the show. We'll be right back. Just hold tight. Chop Shop.
The Cox Prater Law Firm. Big city, big town, big settlement. Your fight is our fight. Need legal advice? You know who to call. Personal injury, wrongful death, car accidents, premise liability, serious injuries. 1-800-HURT-NOW.
How are you going to be on the stage? How are you going to get from off the bench to on the floor? If you love basketball, you got to be passionate about what you do. You can't just play just to play.
If you really want it, you'll need to make sacrifices. You'll face doubt. You will fail. Whether or not you succeed,
Welcome back to the best 120 minutes of your day. Robert Hatter, Jim Hicks. Jimmy, I don't want to spend another second. Let's introduce this guest because
Let's get it in, man.
I can't wait.
And of course, we have this is an astonishing story. I met this gentleman while I was in Minneapolis last week during the George Floyd Classic. He's sometimes he donated his time or volunteered his time to help transport the Yates basketball team to and from their practices, games, lunches, eateries, field trips, and of course, highlighted with a visit to the George Floyd Memorial site. This young man, he's also this organization called Change Equal Opportunity, CEO. Change Equal Opportunity is an organization for which he's founded, and he also has experience in the basketball sector as a coach, and helping young men to be able to advance themselves out of the community without and navigate through that process. His life is not easy, and he's based in the north side of Minneapolis. That's the opposite side of town from where George Floyd was tragically killed by that rogue, crooked ex-police officer back in 2019. But without further ado, we have with us Jamil Jackson. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys give him a welcome on the Chop Shop. And there he is right there, brother Jamil.
What's up, Coach? Hey, Coach, I saw you too.
How you guys doing, man? Thank you for the invite.
I saw two videos, YouTube videos that Jimmy sent me, and he was talking about you at first, as a pillar and a guy in the community. I didn't know you was a coach too, and pretty good one too, from what I hear from the news station, man. But welcome to the Chop Shop. Jimmy, where are we gonna start? Jimmy, take us, Coach. Listen to me. The other day, Jamil, the other day, Jimmy got on his phone and took us behind the scenes, man. It's some stuff that is still on my heart, and I can't wait to talk to you off camera. Just stuff that we didn't know that was happening. CNN ain't showing us what Jimmy was showing us. See,
right.
And we out here thinking everything is good, and it's not. And my thing is, man, just tell us your role, and thank you so much for taking care of our young men.
Absolutely.
Those young men, that school, has a tradition in this community that's, I mean, if the number one fan base of high schools in Houston and the alumni base is Yates High School. They follow these kids everywhere. And they love it, a group of kids. The coach is a legendary coach. And we just want to thank you, this Houston in the Chop Shop, thanking you for taking care of our young men up there, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, man. It
Yeah.
was my honor and my pleasure.
What's going on, man? So, first of all, you're in Minneapolis right now, right?
I am, yeah.
What side of town?
I'm in North Minneapolis. I'm actually at
Okay,
home. I
North-
made it home in time
Okay,
to
let
get
me
this interview.
switch my glasses up, switch my cups. It's a Chop Shop. We're the midday sports happy hour, and we the best, you know. And so, but I've been the midday sports happy hour. Hell, I got me a special cup because now the north side is that's the hood, right?
Correct. It is, yeah.
So anybody that live in the hood right now, you guys know you don't live in the hood unless you have one of these to drink out of. I got my
Hey,
hood.
Coach, I used to spend a lot of time in Minnesota, but I was going to a highway toward Bloomington. What side of town is that in?
That's South Minneapolis. That's the side of town that George Floyd was murdered in.
Okay. All right. And guess what my favorite spot was, Coach?
What?
21st Avenue. It was open back then when I used to come back. That was my spot back then. That was my spot. So, but I just wanted to share that with you. But Jimmy, you were there. Take us to, take you and Coach. Take us put us in Minnesota. You and Coach do it. Put us in Minnesota because we wasn't there.
Yeah, Coach can do that. I mean, because we have time swings. Coach, take us George Floyd. Let's start on that day.
Yeah, so George Floyd's murder happened on the south side of our city. So Minneapolis is a pretty big city here. It's the biggest city in Minnesota. And so there's a north side and a south side that we kind of hone in on. There's also a northeast and a southeast, but the biggest pieces are North Minneapolis and South Minneapolis. And George Floyd was tragically murdered in South Minneapolis. And so what happened is the days after his death, our south side of Minneapolis started burning down, right? So not just the people from our community and neighborhoods who were tired of the recklessness of our police and the brutality that they bring to the people of the community. We had people from all over the world, because of the video, able to see what happened and what was going on here. And so they travel here, kind of help us gain our respect back, if that makes sense. So as the South Side started burning down, there were calls from community members in North Minneapolis to get together and figure out how we weren't going to let outside agitators come in and create havoc in our side of the community. And so what we were starting to see is that a lot of the looters and a lot of the people that were actually setting fire to buildings were people who weren't from Minneapolis. They were people from the outside, Antifa groups, white supremacist groups that were coming in and actually trying to cause some ruckus in our community and leave us holding the bag. So as we started to identify that, again, Northside residents came together under the leadership of the then NAACP president, Leslie Redmond, who asked for community members to come out and show support, again, to have the conversations of how we weren't going to let our side of the town burn. As we did that, we had men from all walks of life start to show up and show their support, and not just with their mental, but their physical, in the sense that we started arming ourselves with weapons, from assault rifles to handguns to whatever we can put our hands on to make sure that people weren't coming in our community causing some trouble. We did that for the length of about 2 weeks. Within those 14 days, the white supremacist groups and the outside agitators realized that we weren't having it over here on our side of town, that we kind of had it on lockdown. So we created some barriers and some barricades. So we were doing some patrols with car checks and that type of stuff to make sure that nobody was sliding through unannounced. And with that, the Minnesota Freedom Fighters were birthed. And so Minnesota Freedom Fighters is what we claim our name to be. We're the group of men that stood on those corners day and night, making sure that our communities were safe, and making sure that no buildings were burning. After the successful 2 weeks of that, I decided that as the commander of the Freedom Fighters, that this wasn't just about George Floyd. That now what I realized and praying on it and thinking about it day in and day out as we were getting ready to mount up, what is our bigger purpose? And our bigger purpose were to be for our community. So not just about protecting against white supremacist groups that were coming in and trying to burn our buildings down during the time of unrest, but how can I now galvanize the men of my community, particularly the Black men in my community, to be more present and to be more accountable to our nieces and nephews and little brothers and little cousins that were out here getting caught up in some of this violence. And so to this day, we still patrol our community, mostly in the evening times when tensions start to heighten up within our community. And we're not out here trying to stop the violence, but we're also trying to create opportunities for these young people to get engaged and get involved in other avenues and other sectors of their lives. And so I actually own 3 businesses myself, and I only hire youth and felons. As you stated, I am the head basketball coach of Patrick Henry High School, which is a predominantly Black school here in the city. We are the rivals of North High School, which is the team that Yates came up and played. So me and Coach McKenzie have a great relationship and a great bond as it relates to helping our kids in the community use basketball as a tool to get off these streets and do something positive with their life.
Wow.
And so now you mentioned earlier, and it's something that sometimes we kind of read it back in 2019 in the immediate aftermath of the George Floyd tragedy, murder. You said that then there were people that was a lot of fires were produced, and a lot of one group of society, even from the then president himself, insinuated that these thugs who were lighting these fires were predominantly our people burning down our own stuff. And that was the question: people, why in the hell would they burn their own communities? And you're saying that from a different angle, that the cameras couldn't get to, or didn't bother venturing into the depths of that part of the town. That was not true. Can you elaborate
That
back on
was
that?
absolutely not true.
So who was starting some of these fires?
So you had Antifa groups. You had the Antifa group. You had white supremacist groups. You had the Proud Boys. You had the Boogaloo Boys. You had a lot of these nationally recognized white terrorist groups that basically came in and tried to disguise themselves as community members and set fires and, again, get out the way before they got caught. We have a good communication. How do I word it? We have good communication within our community as it relates to community activists and the people that are out here, boots on the ground organizations. And so it wasn't hard to start identifying who some of these people were. And I will say, in their haste of trying to clean up their mess, the MPD did a good job of identifying a lot of those outsiders and letting us locally know that it wasn't our own people, that it was actually outside agencies. I would say, and I'm going to guess at the number, but I would say out of all the people that were arrested for the unrests, about 90% of them arrested and charged were people that were not from Minnesota.
So now, Jamil, one thing I want to clarify something. If you guys had set up shop, and you guys at that time, the what is known as the Freedom Fighters, had you and a couple, and up to about almost 24 more guys, that were licensed to carry, most for the most part. You guys grabbed your heaters, and you patrolled the streets to protect that community. If you were protecting that community, then how did these white supremacist groups get past your barriers?
So they didn't get past our barriers in North Minneapolis. We didn't have one building burn. Correction, we had one building burn, one barbershop did burn down. But that was actually before we assembled as a group. But outside of that, we didn't have anything burn in North Minneapolis. We were very sophisticated in our approach in terms of how we were going to navigate. Outside of myself, we have ex-military guys that are a part of the Freedom Fighters. I just have the honor and um, the humbled honor as being chosen to be the commander because of some of the roles that I play within the city. And so I won't sit here and say that it's my mind alone that was able to defeat the white supremacist groups from coming in our community. It was us as a whole. And there were a few other organizations that were out there as well, not as sophisticated or at the level we were. But they were out helping and give information and making sure we knew when things were being seen that didn't make sense in our community that we could react to.
Jaleel, I got some. So while y'all were doing that on the north side,
hmm
what was happening similar? Was something to protect the south side?
Yeah, unfortunately, the South Side got a late start, right? Because
Hmm.
George Floyd, because of the murder of George Floyd, immediately after it happened, um,
Oh,
protesters
yeah.
protesters started going straight over to the third precinct, where the officer who murdered George Floyd, Derek Chauvin, was employed at, and so immediately they started, throwing
I got,
uh,
I got,
cocktails at the building and burning it right away. So it was almost like there wasn't time to prepare
I got
for that on the south side. By the time, again, 2 days into it is when we started to realize, okay, this looks like it's not going to die anytime soon. We better do something to protect our side of town before it starts making its way over here.
you. I got you. I got
And,
you. Wow.
and so now I read that, and I've heard in dialogue that some of those people, they went to the to the depths, to the levels. They stooped so low to whereas some people were renting Airbnbs, Hatter, inside the communities so they can blend right in by day, and then by night they'll come right in and do some burning. So did you find any of that to be true? Is that true?
That's absolutely true. The sad reality is some of those Airbnbs are still rented out to this day. We still have white supremacist groups that are still walking around in our community and still looking at places that they deem as significant to try to burn down, or waiting for the next opportunity for an unrest so that they can slide in and get some of those spaces too. We had information that was given to us by organizations that received actual threats where white supremacist groups walked into their space of operation and told them straight up that we're going to burn this place down if we get the opportunity to.
So this is a perpetual. This war is still going on.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, over the situation, we lost about 250 plus police officers that decided to retire or use PSTD as a mental escape from their job, which put us in a very peculiar situation as a community as it relates to having support from police officers in our community, which actually brings us, even to a more important state. Right. As good as it was for us to protect our buildings and our community from burning from the white supremacist groups, it's more important for us to be visual in our community for our women and children to understand that there is someone out here that is protecting them and has their safety is the number one priority.
Got another question from Thaddeus Moody. He's from Chicago. He said, "What did the police superintendent Arredondo assist you with in area? Did they do anything to assist you?"
So, no, not necessarily to us. Well, I guess you can say they assisted us by getting out of our way, right? By
Okay.
giving us the ability to navigate and to have some dialogue and conversations about what their plan was versus what our plan was. We're
Hmm.
we're very strategic in the sense of we don't work directly with the police, um, because we have to hold them accountable. And if we work with them, if we consider ourselves a partner, then we're complicit in some of the things that they do that we don't agree with, right? So we the help was in the sense, again, just staying out of our way and letting us do what we needed to do, and also being a information agent to allow us insight on some of the things that were going on that would help us do our work.
Jimmy.
Yeah.
So,
So
Now,
just so you guys know, just let me preference this too. So,
mhm.
right outside of being the commander of the Freedom Fighters, before George Floyd passed away, I'm also a consultant to the city of Minneapolis on violence prevention. And
Mm,
so I have direct contact with the mayor, the police chief, with our director of the Office of Violence Prevention, which is Sasha Cotton. Right, these are individuals that I meet with on a weekly basis and have insight to information because of the role that I play.
interesting.
now, over on the south side, I got a chance to meet uh, when we were not patrolling, we were visiting that area on last Thursday. Had a, uh, you know, I tried to just try my best to describe the feeling on that block. It was very, very quiet. It was
Yes,
gloomy.
eerie.
It was almost as though the people that there was about maybe 10 other, aside from the Yates group, it was maybe about 10 to 12 other people that came and went during that 30 minutes that I actually stood out there on that corner. And I did not go into the store, that the store and for which his name is Cup Foods, and because I didn't want to grace support them with my presence inside. So I made the conscious
Absolutely.
decision about some people go in and come out a few times. And it was almost like I said, in that community. I got a chance to meet a guy on that corner, brother Marquise Bowie. Marquise Bowie has an organization, and it's called the Agape. And the Agape, there. So basically, what does the Agape do on that south side on that block? Because he was there and he passed me some literature and about them. How would you describe what they do to try to help during this aftermath?
So I would describe them as a community-based outreach program, similar to mine, similar to CEO, in the sense that we're for the community, by the community, and our focus is on the men and women that are at risk in our community, needing support and needing exposure to jobs, cultural exposure, and opportunities and careers. And so Agape did a great job in trying to bring together the community as a whole. After the aftermath of George Floyd, you had residents who felt a certain way. Um, that area is a gang territory, and so bringing those gang members together to stop their violence and their beefs with other communities, to be able to focus on making sure that the community at whole within the George Floyd Square was safe. So what Agape was able to do, Agape, one of the biggest things that they were able to do, in my opinion, was to bridge the gap between the community and the city, in the sense of getting the square reopened for traffic, right? Um, as soon as George Floyd passed away, the community shut down the streets of George Floyd, what is now called George Floyd Square. So a 2 block
Mhm.
radius each way of Cup Foods was completely shut down. It was considered an autonomous zone. And so no police activity, no cars in and out, and it was held by the community. And so what Agape was able to do was to negotiate within the community in the city the reopening of it. And with that, they received a large payment from the city that they were able to use to actually hire a lot of those gang members in the community and give them right productive jobs, and to be able to help them change their trajectory from being on the street selling drugs or committing crimes to actually having a legitimate job and being productive within their community, so they can be seen as something different, not just within the community, but from the nation as a whole, as everybody's watching George Floyd Square right now.
And so now you mentioned the autonomous zone.
Mhm.
Describe to that those that don't understand what that means. What does that mean if something is declared an autonomous zone?
That means that you're on your own. Essentially, that means that there's no city help, there's no state help, there's no county help. Crimes that were committed in that area were pretty much policed by the Agape group, as opposed to the police. Police were not responding to crime, and the individuals that were hurt or injured in the midst of a crime actually had to be pulled out of that zone for police or paramedics to come assist them. because they were not wanted in that area.
And so the police, they knew that. So it was like it's known on both sides then.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yep.
So this means, so now it's making it now. Let me go back. So that means if you and the freedom fighters were not supplying security to the Jack Yates basketball program when they visited there, as well as Chicago, or and then what would have likely happened if Yates went to practice and at North High School? From what I understand, what have possibly would have happened?
It was a very, very, very strong chance that you guys would have got robbed. Very strong chance. Crime in our community is spiked. I believe carjackings are up over 200% in my neighborhood. Violence, we're a record number for murders in 2020, mimicking the years when we were dubbed as mini Murderapolis by the New York Times. And so it's really bad. Again, the police left us in a really bad state of not being protected or supported. And again, to this day. And so we, as the freedom fighters, we answer a lot of those calls. There's a lot of community members, a lot of elderly people who trust us more than they trust dialing 911. And so we try to show up and help out in ways that the police can't, to be honest. And if it's over our pay grade, right, we're not the police. So there are things that we're not going to investigate. There are things that we're not going to take on because it's just not our role. Then we'll pass that information along to the appropriate contacts and let them handle that. But for the most part, we are claiming ourselves to be what we need for our community in terms of protection and patrol.
Jimmy, you
So
know,
in other words, you guys are
coaches in the bill, coaches in the green room. Mackenzie is in the green room, so I'm just letting you know in case you didn't know. And I'd rather, instead of, I don't want Coach to leave. I don't want Jamil to leave. Can we? Is it possible?
We need to patch him in. Absolutely.
Let's just do that, yo. This the chop shop. We can do it like that, Coach. Coach, you're talking to the bosses, so we can do it however we want to. But I didn't want Larry just be in the background, and because he might want to add something to some of this conversation. So I'm just gonna bring Coach Larry McKenzie in. Look, see how I do it. Hey, Coach, how you doing, man?
Yeah. We can't hear you. Take your mute out.
Can you hear me?
Take your mute.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Keep talking. Oh, no, you did something.
Okay, there you go. Can you hear me now? I think I took my mute off.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. There you go. How you doing?
All right. I'm well.
Okay. He just got a little latency problem, Jimmy. He gonna be a little late, but we're gonna work through this thing.
It's gonna be like one of the Chinese karate movies in a minute.
Yeah, we're gonna work
Bruce
through
Lee
this thing.
movies back in a minute.
So Jimmy,
is it delayed?
Yeah, just a little. That's all right, Coach. But we can hear you. As long as we can hear you, we okay.
Yeah, as long as we can hear you. Then
we okay. It's gonna be a little delayed, but we gonna.
Cause I can switch to my cell phone as well.
Okay. You want to try it?
Yeah. Give it and
I can switch to my cell phone.
Okay.
Put your cell phone on. Do not.
I'll take you out.
Do not.
Yeah. I'll take him out and let him come back in, Jimmy. But back to Jamil. Jamil, hey, man, I'm over here. So many things is running through my brain because, dude, you got to run a business. You got to do this. You got to do this. And you got to patrol your community, man. Dude, I ain't never been through that.
You know what, man? I'm blessed, man. I grew up from the age of 15, parentless. My dad, we're back good now. My dad actually is one of my good friends, but during my adolescent years, he wasn't around. My mom became an addict, and is still struggling a little bit with that today. And so I took over the reins at home at 15 with my brothers and sisters, and so we grew up with no parents in the house. When I was 26, I was caught in a situation where I was facing, 30 years in prison. And through the grace of God, I was given a second chance.
I saw that.
And with that, man, I don't act, I don't question. I just do. I just do what my steps are ordered, right? So I wake up every day blessed that I'm able to see my children, that I got to watch them grow up, graduate from college, and live in their life. And I get to be engaged with all of the youth in my community, right? So they either call me coach or pops or ball head, one of those names. And again, it lends to the relationships that that I'm able to have, which allows me to do what I do in the community.
Larry, I see
Yes.
you. Okay, you better. Just find
All
you
right.
some footage.
That's much better.
No, turn it the other way. There you go. Turn it.
Yeah, don't fall down now.
There you go. Just like that. Just be right there. You good.
All right. Much better. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Okay. But tie Larry into this web you weaving,
Yes.
Jimmy. Tie Larry in.
Yes, and of course we mentioned the North High School a while ago, and I asked the question about what would have happened, would have likely happened to Yates High School. They'd had to go and do a shoot around, a practice on the day of arrival at North High School, and I asked them what would have probably happened if the Freedom Fighters wasn't present and they wasn't doing the transportation, wasn't doing the providing the security for them. And I tossed that question, of course, and I share with Coach McKenzie, Coach Larry McKenzie, guys,
Yeah.
living legend in Minneapolis and the whole great state of Minnesota. And Jamil says that it's likely that some of the Yates program members of the program would have probably gotten robbed if it wasn't for the Freedom Fighters coming in that part of town. And how is it? What's the atmosphere over there, Coach McKenzie, nowadays in the aftermath?
Well, I mean, I think Jamil already spoke to it. We live and work in North Minneapolis, and to be honest with you, what's going on in our city right now is probably no different than what's going on in major cities across the country, right? Obviously, Jamil has spent a great deal of time. I've been listening to the show, talking about the challenges that we've had with the police department and some of those kind of things. And so I think because of that distrust and the George Floyd situation that was exposed to the world, right? Because I always say because we're on a timeout, and people were at home watching TV, everybody got to see that moment. And so we've had our challenges. Mel talked about, and that was primarily the main reason that I reached out to him. His team, his group, they work very, very close with our community and even with our high school, right? In terms of providing those services. They know the kids in the community. And one thing that I always, I admire Jamil, and we spend a lot of time in dialogue. I always tell him, the work that him and I do is so different, but yet it's interdependent. A lot of my work with young people is done on the front end around preventive work, right? Trying to keep them from the streets and the gangs. And Jamil work is done. He know the kids who have, for whatever reason, maybe been dealt a bad hand. He gets to know those kids and work with those kids and try to give those kids opportunities. And again, this is a young man who he said, with his businesses, he's got these kids, not, and again, one of the big things for me, he's not giving them fish, he's teaching them how to fish. So he got kids in homes that he's redoing. Excellent painter, excellent carpenter. I always sing his praises on those kind of things. But he's putting young people to work and giving them opportunity. So, and I always talk about choices, chances, and consequences. And so he's giving them a choice that if they desire to change their lives and they want to do something different, that's what his work has been about. And I admire that because I do know, as somebody who's been, on the battlefield for some 40 years, working with young people, you can't save them all. You can't save them all. And circumstances not going to allow that. And so we need people and organizations like CEO and like Jamil Jackson in terms of the work that they're doing in the city. So we wanted to make sure that Brother Hicks, you and the Yates crew were safe. We wanted to have those kids in the team with somebody that we knew, that knew the community, knew how to navigate. And I'm gonna be honest with you. You guys probably couldn't have gone to the George Floyd Square without Jamil and his crew.
Man, I didn't know we was going into a war zone up there. But I got a question when we went up. But hold up, now I got a question. Somebody just texted me this, and both of y'all can address this. He said, as tax-paying citizens, you have the right to city and county services. How can Minneapolis, Minnesota Department declare a certain area to be autonomous and deny police services?
Well, because it was at the community's request, so it wasn't that the city didn't deem it an autonomous zone. The community deemed it an autonomous zone.
Okay.
The city didn't say we weren't bringing police in. The community said we don't want you.
I got you, my man.
And I think the other thing that we have to talk about, I mean, after the George Floyd incident, I mean, all of us, whether you lived in South Minneapolis or not, the trauma, the drama, all of those kind of things. And so that part of the community being traumatized, it just said, you know what, for right now, we want to try to control our own situation. Gotcha. And so it wasn't that the city didn't want to get in there. And I mean, there was a lot of debate with city council, the mayor, and others about how to open up the street again and other kinds of things. But it was a community choice to become an autonomous zone.
And then, Coach, and Jamil, I just thought about something right after right after the George Floyd murder. The other lady cop that's a supervisor, she said she was pulling for her taser and shot somebody else. So how did that? What the hell was going on when that happened? I know y'all said, "Wait a minute, what happened then, Jamil?"
Similar, we were called out and we went out to the Brooklyn Center area and we had to help control and help with the unrest out there too. And you know, and our city is hurting bad, as Coach said, because we can't catch a break, right? Before that, we have Philando Castile, some of the other names that Coach is familiar with, and will speak out. And what the beauty in it all to me is that it was captured on tape, and so that the world got to see what's really happening in Minneapolis, and it opened up Pandora's box to be able to talk about all of the other disparities that we're dealing with here in the state as it relates to our Black and brown children.
Jimmy.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, to kind of talk about one of the reasons that we wanted to do the George Floyd Memorial Classics, the Minnesota Black Basketball Coaches Association, was so that the name, the memory, this incident would not be forgotten. As Jamil said, I mean, a lot of the difference this time was a young lady was brave enough to pull out a cell phone and record the moment. But Minnesota, we had dealt with Philando Castile, who, again, the world did not get a chance to see the whole thing. Jamar Clark, Tysel Nelson. There's years of history of where African-American men had been lost their lives at the hands of the police. But on this one incident, as I like to say, the world was on a timeout. The world was on a timeout because of COVID. People was locked in, and so they were watching the TV. And because of her cell phone, we got to live that minutes and 26 seconds individually, each of us. And that was the difference. And so we wanted to make sure, because I mean, and let's just Michael Brown, Jamar Clark,
Yeah.
Mr. Gray in Baltimore,
Yeah.
on and on
Yeah,
and
right.
on. The young Breonna Taylor. I mean,
Yes.
so this was happening everywhere. But this incident again was videotaped, and so we all too often we get so busy in our lives doing whatever we do, and we forget the people that have suffered at the hands and these kind of things. And so we wanted to make sure that that memory stayed alive. So one, that we can continue to educate our young men about the importance of staying on their P's and Q's, right? But also making sure that people understand that, and I said it to the young men. I mean, a lot of people want to live in the moment of the 9 minutes and 26 seconds. But you all know, because you're in Texas, that George Floyd was an outstanding high school athlete who navigated the school and academics enough to get a Division I scholarship. So in spite of the story that other people want to tell, there was some positives to this young man's life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Coach, I got a question, Coach. This is the $1 million question. Will this be an annual thing? Will we continue this thing, this George Floyd Memorial? Will we do this yearly?
We are committed to it, and we've already actually we've already started to plan. Jamil, Minneapolis Patrick Henry will play Yates next year
Okay.
in the Classic, along with some other teams. So we're planning on having them back. And again, I mean, all I can say is this from me, as the current president of the Minnesota Black Basketball Coaches Association and one of the founders. As long as God gives me breath,
absolutely,
I know that it will continue to take place.
Hey, Coach, is it any ways our viewers can help the Black Coaches of Minneapolis Association? Is it
Minnesota?
Do you have a so because some we got some giving people, and I know this thing next year gonna take money. What can we do? What can our viewers do to help?
So people that want to be a part of it, that want to support it, you can go to our website, which is www.mbbca.com. You can hit the donate button. You can give. You can get up. Jamil is also one of the founders of the organization as well. And let me say this: we was born. I'll say, I said with Jamil and some others, we had begun to have this conversation about the need to come together and be supportive of that. Once that incident happened, I got on the phone. I started calling around. We were born out of this George Floyd incident.
Wow.
We knew that we had to come together to create voice and validation for the work that we do. And I always say George Floyd could have been my kid or Jamil's kid.
Yeah.
Because he was a Yates kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Could have been mine too, Coach.
So people that want to support us and our information, our P.O. box, all of that stuff is on our website. And so we will, and we'll certainly stay in contact with Mr. Hicks as we go through this planning purposes. And the one thing that we know we'll be able to do next year, this was the first annual, but next year we're looking toward live streaming and some other kinds of things, so that not just people in Minnesota, but the world can see what we're doing here in Minneapolis.
Coach, that's awesome, man. I mean, I was just thinking about that, and Jimmy's told us the story, and maybe y'all can help our viewers. The Minnesota Black Coaches Association is not that many of y'all. He gave me some numbers about how many high school coaches in the state of Minnesota, and it ain't that many of y'all, man. And y'all, and I said it. I didn't even know about anything before they even went up there. I said for those group of 40 or 50 people to put this thing on, man, y'all do. That's why I'm saying we gonna help y'all, cause it shouldn't just be you 40 some people. We got people in Dallas. We gonna get the word out. That's why. But man, how did so few did such a great thing? Can y'all talk about that, Coach? What, man, Coach? Y'all, it ain't that many of y'all, Coach, and y'all did this thing.
Nah, I mean, so 700. I think, and when I did the homework, there's 750 potential jobs in the state. Our membership is around 50. But I mean, I'm just a believer. I mean, this was something that I was committed to doing, and come hell or high water, we were gonna make it happen. And so, we just rolled up our sleeves and got it done. And so again, we're just gonna continue to make it bigger and better. And I always say this, man, like, people think you got to have a lot of people, man, to make things happen. There's a reason Jesus only had 12 disciples.
Oh, preach it, Reb. Keep going, Reb.
Yeah, there's a reason. Sometimes you don't need a whole lot. Sometimes too many people, you don't get nothing done.
Hey, Coach, hold up. And he had a hard time trying to keep them a lawyer, because one of them got it.
Yeah, and he struggled. Hey, all 12 of them.
Y'all see how that devil worked, boy? Boy, he was saying something powerful, man. But I love that, Jamil. Hey, man, Jamil, you can just chime in if you want to, man. Coach will be back on in a minute.
Yeah, no, I mean, I echo everything he said. Coach called me when he was creating the Minnesota Black Basketball Coaches Association and asked me if I would support and be a part of it. And he knows without a shadow of a doubt I support him wholeheartedly. He's actually the reason why I got back into high school coaching. I coached my boys. My oldest son, I coached him all the way from fifth grade all the way to college. I was his AAU coach. I was his middle school coach. I was his high school coach. Until I sent him to college. At the time, going into his sophomore season, and just going through the process of my older son getting to college and the recruiting process and all that, what I realized is that I needed my younger son to hear another voice. I needed him to be coached by somebody else. And so after we searched, had a few conversations with Coach McKenzie, and I knew him. We had some conversations and some dialogues, but we didn't have a relationship at the point. But hearing him talking to some of his former players in that they view him and see him off the court was instrumental to me. And so then it was a no-brainer for me. So my son played his last 3 years with Coach McKenzie, and I was able and honored to sit on the sidelines and be able to, to pick his brain and ask him things. And so what actually brought me back was McKenzie is in a lane of itself here in Minnesota as it relates to basketball and what he does in our community for our boys of color, and we needed more of that. And so what I did was I branched off to become the head coach at Patrick Henry, so that more of our kids had an opportunity. We have so many kids that are, and this is a great knock on him, right? So many kids that go to North and want to go to North to play for Coach McKenzie and play for the legacy that North carries, and he just doesn't have enough spots, right? Mm-hmm. And so we need coaches that have a similar mindset and understanding and philosophy that he brings to the table that gives kids an opportunity somewhere else to have a similar experience, right? And so I'm doing my best at Patrick Henry to mimic a lot of the things that he's doing at North, so that our kids can have, again, similar experience. Haven't been able to beat him on the court yet, but that's coming. We're working on that piece.
Now
we're working on that piece.
Jamil, if you just tune into the Chop Shop, the guys you see talking, that's Jamil Jackson, and he's he's a commander with the Freedom Fighters, the Minnesota Freedom Fighters. Also, he's the founder of Change Equal Opportunity, and that's an outreach program that he used to mentor a lot of the youth in the Minneapolis area. He's doing big things in that area, and he's very, very popular and instrumental. One of the things I want to ask you, I'm glad we have Coach McKenzie. That's Larry McKenzie, living legend in regards to the son of two school teachers who have grown up, didn't see himself teaching school in any fashion. He thought he was going to be doing something else. He thought he was going to go where your son went. He thought he was going to Cornell and going to go to Wall Street or something.
Right.
And now, and you know, being you guys men of the cloth, he found himself. The Lord had something else playing for him. And you like that, don't you? You like that?
Yeah, I like that. Hey,
Now,
Jimmy, when he messed with me, Coach, he talking about you a man of the cloth. I said, yes, silk.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, we speaking to Coach McKenzie.
Yeah.
Give us, for those that don't, I mean, a lot of people that are viewing aren't familiar, and I try to compare North High. There's a North High School, as you mentioned, and what goes on around in that neighborhood in every major city in the country. Give us the the resume, the basketball resume of Minneapolis North High School, your accomplishments as a program, even before you got there, you know, in recent memory, so to speak.
So, I mean, I think Jamil told the story. I was previously, I spent 9 years at Patrick Henry High School, where I became the first coach in the history of Minnesota basketball to win 4 consecutive state titles there. And then, I mean, when you talk about North, I mean, historically, and it's kind of funny because Jamil went to high school at Minneapolis North. If you look at the history of basketball here in the state of Minnesota, in the 80s, Minneapolis North was dominant in terms of basketball. They produced the Khalid El-Amin is considered probably one of all-time greats who ever played a game in the state of Minnesota. Definitely near the top with the Kevin McHale's and a whole lot of other people. So he had a run where they in 96, 97, 98, they won 3 consecutive state titles. And so then you know, North was for, you know, part of the games people play. So in 2000, is it 12, Jamil, or 11? North was designated as a failing school, and
So
the school board.
it was 2012, and I just want to jump in really quick on your story to give the backstory to it because as Mackenzie stated, I am a graduate of Minneapolis North, and I was coaching at a charter school called Metro Tech Career Academy, and I had just brought sports to the school. So I had just enrolled my entire AAU basketball program and my entire youth football program at the school to become a high school. We were going to become an elite sports team, and North is a few blocks away from us. And so I was actually asked to become the head basketball coach of the school at the time. And I actually turned the position down because they were closing the school. The word on the street and in the community and with the board is they were going to close the school. And I didn't want to lose the opportunity that I had just created at the charter school to go to the school that was going to close. And also, I'm a football coach as well, and so a lot of my kids play multiple sports. And so, in the interim of them figuring out what they were going to do, now back to you, Mackenzie. I gave my son to Mackenzie, and Mackenzie came over, and I'll say between Coach Larry McKenzie and Tyler Johnson, a student athlete, are the 2 pillars that actually saved the school, in my opinion.
Yeah, when I took the job, there were 24 kids enrolled in the building, in a school that served about 1,700 kids. My first year there, we had a total of 68 kids, and so and again, I mean, we started a run. I mean, I think Jamil, and you might know this more than I do. I really don't. But I think the school had won maybe 5 or 6 games previously, the previous 4 or 5 years. And so in 2013, 14, we started an 8th grader. We started an 8th grader, 2 9th graders, and 2 sophomores. We came within 2 points of going to the state tournament that year. the previous
Yeah,
year.
my son missed
At
the
that
layup.
point, Jamil's son is sophomore. Yeah, we had the exact same thing happen the next year, and then we
My
went
son
on a
missed the jump
run,
shot.
No,
and we
no.
and then in so 2016 and 2017 we won back-to-back state titles. I then became the first coach in Minnesota history to take two schools who happen to be on the north side to win multiple titles. So I've been blessed. I've got the win 6 state titles here in the state of Minnesota, third most in history. But I tell people what I'm really most proud of in my work. When I went to Patrick Henry High School, I inherited a team with a GPA of 1.6. When I left, we had a team GPA of 3.45. African Americans, boys, National Honor Society, 100% graduation on time, 100% college. And so that's the work that we've done with the young men. You know, I always say you use the game, don't let the games use you. And so that's been a lot of the work that we've done with our young men. And again, you know, I like to give credit where credit is due, you know, and again, I've been on the other side where Jamil is. And so, you know, a lot of people talk about rival, but, you know, people don't see the backside, the conversations that we have, the relationship that we have. And the one thing we've both been committed to is trying to save as many of these young black men as we can, however we can.
And let me tell you something. Jaleel gonna beat you. He said he ain't beat you yet. He coming at you, Coach. I can just tell. But Coach, I got a question. Somebody from Minnesota, a friend of mine, they said, "Do you know of Leaping Leonard?"
Yeah, Leaping Leonard was on my first staff at Patrick Henry.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What about Martez Williams?
Yeah, Leaping Leonard and Martez Williams, and I forget who the third person was, but they a 3-man crew won a state championship themselves in track because they won just about every event at Patrick Henry High School.
Just 3 guys.
Leaping Leonard, 3 guys. Leaping Leonard is he won the 100, 200. They won everything that they could win. 100, 200, high jump, long jump, and they were state champion. He's a Hall of Famer at St. Thomas University here in St. Paul, Minnesota. He's an educated, excellent entertainer. A lot of people don't know that he sings. He's an entertainer. So, but yeah, Leonard, he was on my first staff at Patrick Henry High School.
Oh man, so I see now, Coach McKenzie. Them white folk been mad at you for a long time. That won't happen. I see what's going on now.
Long time.
Seriously, you know, you mentioned a while ago, both of you guys mentioned there was a time where you had peaks and valleys in a lot of programs, and as you see, there's a lot of teams in different urban areas that used to be on top in certain sports and they had peaks and now they're valleys. Something I'm gonna ask both of you guys first. Coach McKenzie, I'm gonna get you to ask, what's the attendance of Minneapolis North High School? And Jamil, and both of you guys, I want you to chime in on, explain to us, there's something called the city to suburban. The choice is yours. I'm sorry. The choice is yours. That's a program that kind of flipped the dynamics of the dominance in a lot of schools like North when it comes to athletics. It's called, once again, the choice is yours. So the first, you go ahead on and take it from there.
Well, so right now, I mean, as I said, when I started, North had 24 students enrolled. Right now, our enrollment is near 600 students. Wow. We had the largest freshman class this year. I think 220 freshmen in the class, in this year's class, which I think would be the class of 2020, 2025. So the school is growing, and to me, the choice of role was one of those weapons that was used to close, and in the attempt to close North High School. Not only did they do the choices. The reality of it is, and I say this all the time, if we had all the kids that should have attended our school, I don't know how many consecutive championships I would have. I have a number of kids that started with me 7th and 8th grade that was in our program that have gone on to suburban schools, and had good careers and that kind of stuff. We lose a lot of kids, y'all in the South, man. So, I grew up in the South. Y'all know sometimes the other man's ice is colder than ours.
Hello. Hello.
And now, of course, the attendance is spiking upward at Minneapolis North High School. The Polar, shout out to Chad Growth. He's on the feed right now in the Boom Boom Room, watching and commenting, and you guys along with you guys as well. Now, what's the plan? How do we know, or when will we know? Of course, the work is never done, but moving upwards, what's the plan now, 3 to 5 years for not only Minneapolis North High School, but the freedom fighters and as well as the Change Equal Opportunity?
Yeah, well, I guess I'll start. In terms of the relates to Minnesota Freedom Fighters, we're here to stay. There was a lane that was created for us with the death of George Floyd and the reduction of our police force, and we don't plan on giving that space back. As the commander of the Minnesota Freedom Fighters, I'm adamant about making sure that we have a voice at the table. That we have a leading voice at the table, as this is our community that we serve, and that we continue to produce more men of the community who can help play the role and close the gap that our MPD has left us with as it relates to protecting our women and our children and exposing our young men to opportunities that exist beyond the street corners. As far as CEO, similar. We're growing day by day. Actually, today, I just signed a lease on a 10,000 square foot distribution center where I'll be hiring 25 community youth to run a food distribution program for our community. I also just signed a lease on a 14,000 square foot community center in downtown Minneapolis, where we'll be able to run and organize our own programming. And I'm calling it the CEO Center for Change and Innovation, where we'll focus on STEM and technology training for our youth so they can get some 21st century training as it relates to job opportunities. And it for me, as far as North High, and even though I'm the head coach at Henry, I'm an alum at North, and so I'm very supportive of what's going on there, very supportive of Coach McKinney and the sports program, but very adamant about making sure that even through all the great work that Mackenzie's doing at the school, that it's not just seen as a sports academy, that our community in the state and the world knows that these students, and which was one of the very important pieces for me, for my own son, to graduate from North under Larry McKenzie, with the mind state that it's only good for sports. My son graduated North with a 3.76 GPA, went off to college and got his degree. And so getting the world to understand that our athletes are not just good on their respective sports field, but they're actually also good within the classroom and being productive citizens of our community.
Yeah, and Jamil, I don't know if you've done this, but if you look at that Jamil Jackson Jr. on that first team, if you look at that picture, man, 10 out of 12 of those kids will have college degrees.
Absolutely.
Edo from Morehouse. That picture, I look at it every morning right in front of my space in my office. And, so when people talk about, North and being the urban school and that kind of stuff, I always say, our kids, not only they graduating from high school, but they're going to college. To your question, Mr. Hicks, I'm going to say this, and I'm just going to be very open and transparent. In the community that North sit right now, if it's like a lot of communities around the country, many people that look like you and me cannot afford to buy homes in this neighborhood anymore because of gentrification. There's an $80 million renovation that's going on at North High, and I can tell you that in 10 years, I don't know if we'll be able to say North is a predominantly black school.
So that's similar to what's taking place in the 3rd Ward community for which Jack Yates resides. However, you know, the thing is, one thing that's protecting that from happening to a great deal is because they have what assistant coach Eddie Barlow and George Floyd alike, they grew up in what's known as the CUNY homes. Those are government subsidized projects that are directly across the street from not just Yates, but Texas Southern University as well. And Yates High School, a lot of people may not know, geographically, to paint a visual, it's the only high school in the world that sits across the street from 2 colleges. Texas Southern University is on the east, on the west side of Jack Yates, and University of Houston is on the east side of Jack Yates. Only
in the neighborhood.
Yeah, and then the CUNY homes is on the backside. They are gentrifying. We was on the radio station. We was on 102.5, guys, 2 years ago, 2 radio stations ago. Remember when they first started doing it, we had made note of it. They actually changed. They went first. Well, it came on the hills because down in Texas, a lot of old schools that were named after visual, either slave owners or guys that were not for our people, their names resided on streets and schools that our public dollars subsidized. Well, one of the streets that the main street in 3rd Ward was known as Dowling Avenue. Well, Dowling, the guy Dick Dowling, you know, they renamed that.
Who was Dick? Who was old Dick Dowling? Who was it?
I remember I said it, man. I had it, and I
Don't
told
worry
you
about it. Don't worry about it.
It didn't slip my mind. I told you guys back 3 years ago, but they renamed it Emancipation.
Yes.
And that's because of the park that the nucleus of 3rd Ward is called Emancipation Park.
Right.
And that park was there, and is historic. Well, they also they name that area. The folks that's doing the gentrifying, they don't call it 3rd Ward anymore. You know what they call it? They call it the
economic corridor. In other words, this money finna flow through here. Y'all better get with it. It's about to get gentrified. That's what it's telling you.
And that's what.
But Jimmy, could you explain something? Jimmy, one day when we don't have, I want to know why. Because it's a government subsidized place, so CUNY homes can never be bothered or torn down. The government can do whatever the hell they want to do. I thought.
I mean, I think that it's once you deem something a historic landmark.
Also, historic landmark.
Very hard to tear down.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what this protection that the CUNY homes have.
Okay.
So that means that Yates High School will always have a good portion because those CUNY homes has a lot of apartments in there of black. But
and
so
Coach,
that
let
means
me help Coach out. I came from a basketball game from TSU about a month ago, and I was coming through there at night because I don't usually be in that neighborhood that much at night. But it was lit up beautifully, Coach. I mean, it's lit up like you look like you're saying, gee, you look like Cal Berkeley without the hills, right? And guess what? That's on this side of the street. But on the other side of the street, the CUNY homes. And hold up, the CUNY homes was looking nice at night. But see, that's the first time I've been over there at night, so I'm not gonna keep going over there at night. But bless their heart.
Yeah, and one of the things I wanted to ask you, Jamil, I was talking to Brother Bowie. I also want to give a shout out. I lost my cell phone on Sunday. So a lot of my notes and a lot of the numbers and stuff. If anybody, once again, I said it yesterday, but anybody out there who attempted to contact me on Sunday, on a Sunday, may have been unsuccessful if I did not respond. That's because my main cell phone has been misplaced, and the new one should be arriving any moment in the next couple of hours for UPS. But I was talking And that block, how do you posed the question last Thursday?
Uh-huh.
And I want to toss to both of you, Coach McKenzie and Jamil, and that is back on the George Floyd Square, and which the Cup Foods location is still open. Now that gas station across the street that everybody used to see on the infamous videos, it has since closed down. Obviously, they probably got suffocated economically when the whole radius was shut down by the city. And if no cars could pass through, then obviously you can't get no gas. So that gas station is closed.
Yeah.
Several businesses that are on that in that one within 100 meters are closed down as well. You can tell some life is about to come in some of the businesses. But then I want to ask you guys, what's the plan, or if you know, for that area in regards to development and the black and the ownership of any businesses, and how do you pose the question, well, who owns the buildings? And I think I found out the answer to that question. I let these guys answer first.
Go ahead, Jamil. You're probably more familiar with it than me.
A little familiar. I really do focus more, most of my work in.
Oh my goodness. No. Oh, Jimmy, both of them gone. Man, what did they do? Jimmy, it is time to get out of here though, Jimmy. But
yeah, we let them come back and answer that question. That was gonna let them, and then we let them roll down the hill after that question.
Wow.
But first, I found out when Jamil get ready, when he comes back and answer, the owner of the Cup Foods, the owner is an Oriental family. You guys saw them on the videos back in the day. There was an Oriental family, and the people were going to, from what I understand in my conversations, they were this close to possibly wanting to burn that place down, meaning people in the community back then. If that verdict had went in a different direction with the officer, they probably would have, it probably would have made a hold the dam back. Now, from what I learned, I don't know how true it is, that most of that block is also owned by that same Oriental family. And
yeah, actually, that's information I'm not privy to.
Yeah, I was speaking with the proprietor of the Turkey. The I don't want to say
Just Turkey.
Just Turkey.
Just Turkey. That's a restaurant. The proprietor is a former basketball star from that city. And it's ironic how small of a world it is, because Eddie Barlow, the assistant coach with Jack Yates, young Barlow played overseas around the same time. They overlapped a little bit, but this young man, he played overseas for a number of years as well. They both played in the same city. They shared stories. It was great to see that, but he was the one who shared that intel, because Hatter had asked me who owns the buildings on that block. And that's the thing. And I asked him, and he's like, his landlord is those people that owns Cup Foods, and they owns the stuff across the street as well. So now I was asking you, what's the plan? Because the life just coming back into that intersection, into that radius, that George Floyd Square. Now people are being able to drive through there, whatnot. You can share that with us, Jamil.
Yeah, again, I was saying before I was disconnected that I do know that some of the buildings are being bought up by minority groups, as I've been asked to come over and help facilitate from a project management and design lens on how my youth could help serve in the redevelopment of some of those spaces. I'm not familiar to the extent of how many of the buildings are owned by that family that owns Cup, but I will believe what Sam says as the owner of Just Turkey. Whatever he says, I would contest to be true.
Wow.
And
I do know
across the street, I do know the building directly next to the gas station, for instance. I was brought into a meeting there about a month ago. Some minority folks have bought that space up. A black gentleman, and he wants to turn it into some sort of youth outreach center where kids can come in and learn some light construction skills in the basement, and upstairs they'll do some hospitality type of small deli style restaurant or something like that.
Did you want?
I was gonna say there's a community group that I know. Jamil, what do they have? 40-point plan or something that they presented to mayor and city council, and so there's some discussions about that block and about how the African American community can take control of that. But one of the things is, I mean, you guys will probably be surprised, but when people do research, I'm amazed at the amount of money them little corner stores make.
Ooh.
And it is really, I know for a fact in North Minneapolis, Devin George, a former professional athlete who's been a developer in North Minneapolis, he's tried to buy one of those corner stores. And basically they said to him, you can't afford it. Just because of the amount of money that we make, you can't afford to buy us out.
Wow. What? But I
In
got
other words,
something for you.
people ain't going nowhere, Hannah.
Hold up,
Them
Jimmy.
people ain't-
Hold on, I got something for both. I didn't know this, Jamil. Boy, we got a connection. Your son, they say your son played for IUPUI.
Yep.
Byron Rim is a great friend of Jimmy's and mine, and he's been on this show. His coach has been on this show several times. Ain't that something? Unbelievable, Coach. So your son played for Coach McKenzie and Coach Rim. Man, hey, let me tell you something. Yeah, he gonna be all right. He gonna be all right.
Yeah, man. So that's pretty much in closing, we mentioned, of course, you guys just tune in Jamil Jackson, Coach Larry McKenzie. You guys, congratulations, job well done with your efforts in the community, with your efforts with the youth, and also with the George Floyd Classic. That event, guys, was definitely one to remember. I look forward to you guys expanding and keeping the fire lit for years to come. If nothing else, that's a field trip for a lot of kids. They get a chance to learn about history and understand in our community want those stories told in their schools in years and months to come. But one thing about it, we're gonna keep it going, and we're gonna keep guys like that, like those two.
Yeah, man.
Not to mention shout out to Sarge and the rest of the guys. Sarge and a lot of people out there with the freedom fighters, they know him. He's very, very adamant and very resourceful as well. But this is a great job and job well done. I want to let you know that the hospitality was definitely overwhelming emotionally for Coach Greg Wise as he gave thanks to you guys on the night before the team flew up out of there. We definitely want to thank you for taking care of how the people say, a lot of the ladies said, taking care of our babies, while they were there with you guys.
Absolutely.
Thanks again so much.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having us. I know we've had some technical, somebody don't want us to tell this story, but we got through it. So thank you so much. Appreciate you.
I can't
We'll be in touch.
We ought to do this again, Coach, because I want to know what the Minnesota Timberwolves, what are they doing, and all of those players, what are they doing to help this cause? So, and I know a few of them. So we gonna we're gonna work that out the next time, Jimmy. Because
and then another topic I left on the table that you guys may not have known. And Coach, we'll let you in closing. We'll let you basically sum up the story shortly. You have an assistant coach that experienced something after George Floyd, and you did not really know about it, and a lot of people didn't know about it as well. And what was it?
Well, I to be honest with you, Coach, I just figured it out from listening to meters. So I knew about it. I didn't say anything to him about it because I didn't want to create any possible situations of messing up anything. But my JV head coach, Brandon Mitchell, was a juror on the George Floyd trial.
Wow. Unbelievable, Coach.
So,
Wait
so
a minute.
he
Hold up. Was he the juror that came out after the trial and he talked? That was him?
Yeah, that's my assistant coach.
Wow. Tell him I said, what's up, man? That's my dude, man.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was him. So yeah, but
Brave young man.
I kind of heard it as they was interviewing the jurors, and they said juror number 51, and I heard his voice, and I told my wife, I said that's Brandon, but I ain't gonna say nothing.
You tell Brandon, I can't wait to come to Minnesota now. Hey,
Say,
I
man,
remember him. Yes.
say that's a true story.
That's
It's
great,
a small world.
Yes.
And to think about it, I heard Brandon spoke on that night we had the dinner, and he shared a story about the multitude of death threats that he got after the verdict. And
To this
how
day,
people,
to
this day,
yeah, Mr. Hicks, he still get all kind of hate emails and stuff. Yeah, right. Even to this very moment.
That's all right. Tell him Jesus got him too. So he all good.
Oh yeah,
tell him he in good company.
Brother Hatter, we preach that information to him all the time.
My man, thank you so much, Coach. I can't wait to do this again. I can't wait to do this again. Jimmy, get us out of here. Jimmy, take us out.
Yeah, man, it's time to slide down Dino's back on the Chop Shop. Thanks to Coach Larry McKenzie and also Coach Jamil Jackson, and for their efforts, man. I told you guys, it was going to be a great dynamic conversation. And let me tell you something. If you did not feel anything from that conversation, that means that something inside of you is dead.
Jimmy, I used it yesterday. Dark. Something inside of you is dark. You don't like the light. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, and so we'll be right back at it on tomorrow, guys. And of course, and then on Thursday, we'll get one of the college basketball coaches to start this new year off with a bang and return to getting one of those guys, at least one to you, to be able to dialogue with you every week to help everybody with their understanding of this recruiting. Shout out to everybody out there who stayed with us through the overtime segment. Make sure you share the show if you haven't done so. Share it one last time. Thanks a bunch, 68 Keatwood on the correction, Asian instead of Oriental. Shout out to them, so stand corrected on that. And thanks, Kevin Freedman. He's like the resident intern. He's gonna do the homework and found the name of the owner of that Cups Food, and that name is I don't want to pronounce it, but
chop his name up. I don't care if you chop his name up.
Mahmoud Ubamaya. Yeah, and so that's the owner of it. Shout out to all you guys who was there with us, man. Yes, but Melvin Dews, we talked about it earlier in the show.
You talk about
Bubba McDowell and Prairie View. We'll chat more about it on tomorrow. But we up out of here today, guys. That is all we have for you. Great show. Way to start this year off with a bang. We'll be right. Don't forget, there are high school basketball games taking place around the area. Some hell of a showdowns tonight. Check out the list of the top 10 games to see around Greater Houston. Go to rcssports.com. rcssports.com. Check out that list. Also, I'm going to leave you guys with something very, very instrumental, and hopefully you might be able to use it. Speaking of helping in your community, what I have for you guys now, just posted it on the Facebook, and that I think I just posted it on there, or I tried to. It's too much to post. That's what it is. And I was trying to give you guys, you can go to the VIP News and get a list of the phone number for every city council person in Greater Houston, along with their email address. We can start this year off right. Trust me, when those emails come in abundance and those phone calls about situation and something that your community needs to be corrected or improved, don't shy away from calling your council person. Don't shy away from sending that email, and share those email addresses and those phone numbers with your neighbor. Understand, you put them in office, you put their ass to work as well. So that go to the VIP news on RCS Sports. We have a chart I posted this morning with every one of their names and phone numbers, along with the email addresses. And hopefully you guys, it can serve as a tool to help you to be able to help improve your communities. That's it for today. For Robert Haller, this is Jim Hicks, and it's time to get on up out of here. We'll see you guys on tomorrow. Peace. Chop shop.
Jim Hicks, Rob Hatter, you are now tuned in to the Chop Shop. I'm Retro, let's get it. We in the Chop Shop, we live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop, we live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the Chop Shop.